All right, everybody, it's our Klaus here, and I feel like I always say I've got a hell of a video for you, and today that's especially true. And as always, there's a tremendous amount of ground that I want to cover with this. Gonna be looking at Jay-Z, Donald Trump, Infinity War, Beyonce, the number 10. Just a lot of big things. And as always, right, I'm all over the place, lots of connections here and there, lots of different research methods, and I always encourage you to look into these methods further, to do your own research, because none of this is absolute. This is just my relative interpretation of a tremendous amount of information. And so with all of that being said, I really just kind of want to get right into everything here. And one of the first things that I want to do is start to draw the line between Donald Trump and Jay-Z. Conceptually, they're very similar to me. You have these titans of entertainment, as well as just notorious businessmen. Lots of peculiar interests and behaviors displayed from both of them, both on and off camera, of course. But so, in particular with Jay-Z here today, we're going to be talking about this album 444 of his that came out on June 30th of 2017. Now, 444 is obviously, right, a number that draws a lot of attention to itself, especially in the realm of the occult, and so you can see down here, and as we've talked about immensely in the past, this number, we will reiterate a lot of those points, and of course including this idea of order of Thelema. Again, talked about Crowley extensively, his writings, especially the books of Thoth and the Book of Lies. And I'll get around to all of that here in just a moment some more. But so what I wanted to do here was look at when Trump came into office on November 9th, 2016, not when he came into office, when he won the presidential election, and when Jay-Z's 444 came out. So in between there, you see it's 234 days. Now, since I'm looking at an album that's a mirror number, right? Same forward, backwards, and looking to the occult, it's, right, very prevalent research method to mirror and then add numbers. So you see 234 plus 432 gives us that nice 666. Now, notice as well that the another way of saying 234 days is 33 weeks and 3 days. So there you have that nice 333. All right. So of course you mirror and add that one. You have another 666. Now, what I want to draw your attention to here as well, since we have both of those just hanging out, when you add 666 to itself, right, you get 1332. Now, this number is really intriguing to me, because we do see, of course, this reference to Donald John Trump Sr., which is the, right, president. This idea of the true holy angel of death, impossible coincidences, right? Of course, my research on Mack trucks and their play in just everything you see coming up here. This also ties back to this whole Illuminatium thing that I looked into a while back for you. And you'll notice that keeps coming up again and again. So you see this 1332, same as the First Testament. Now, bearing in mind as well, this symbol of 222 here is obviously not to be overlooked. I would just urge you to watch the previous videos that I've done to really get a full scope of that, and really a lot of it stemming from, this whole idea of the vaccinations enjoying their 33rd year, or excuse me, not 33rd, 222nd year, right, of widespread just use and existence. And of course, vaccination, in case you're wondering, does have that nice 666 coding, so you can take a look at all of that here. But so very interesting as well, right? So now let's keep going back here on your left. And notice this 7 months, 22 days. Again, another variation of this 234 days. You can look at this a few ways, right? Very importantly, 722, and these are Jewish values right here, I'll clarify, gives us magnificent triple three. Now, of course, that's interesting, right? Because we have that right up here. And of course, the Book of Lies is book 333. So you also have here references to the Messiah of Darkness and then myself. Okay, lots of interesting things come with this. Now, notice when we break it down, 7 times 22 gives us that 154. So again, you can see all these same as here and how much ground there is for a lot of, if you're not familiar with this channel, to catch up on and see all of these fascinating connections. But notice here that this 154 that we get is the same as the law of Thelema, as well as the Antichrist. Now, of course, one of the really prevalent images of Jay-Z in accordance with the occult is this image of him wearing the "Do What Thou Wilt" sweater. And of course, we could definitely say that, Trump carries this same mantra with him here. But again, this being one of the just core pieces of Thelema, of course, love is the law, love under will, following there. But so again, though, just very interesting in all. I'm saving the big connections with Jay-Z and Trump for the end here. It all builds into itself here. So we'll keep moving along, but I do want you to see here a couple of interesting things that have come up, and you see reference here to this idea of New World coffee. And where that comes from is the 1997 movie Conspiracy Theory, starring Mel Gibson and Sandra Bullock. Bullock, of course, in Gravity, we've done a ton of research on her involvement with things. But of course, this movie seems to fly very heavily under the radar. And really every line out of Gibson's mouth is something to be considered. And the way that they write his character, of course, for Hollywood is very brilliant to allow such a movie to come out with, such a budget behind it and such, actors. They write him right as if he's, schizophrenic, mind fragmented. There's just tons and tons of, discussion of MK Ultra. But in any case, you see here very clearly this New World coffee. And so, of course, interestingly, you have your pyramids, all the things, right? So let's get back here, though, because the other thing that comes up in this is will of Thanos. Now, I'm going to talk about this more in a moment here because Infinity War, Thanos, as I'm saying, is all very heavily interwoven with this. But so let's build some more foundation here and take a look at when Conspiracy Theory was released. It was August 8th. So there you have that nice 88. Remember, that is simple value for Trump, and the year was 1997, which reduces down to 8. So there you have that nice 888 again. Now I'll elaborate on all that in just a moment, and if you're getting antsy, it's down here. But so notice here, 444, the single was released on July 11th of 2017. So July 11th is a very big day, right? I did a whole video discussing its importance with the Pilgrim Society. And of course, I would highly recommend that you go watch that video. And of course, remember, I was really stunned when then Trump in 2016 says I'm the law and order candidate on July 11th. And so just further cementing all of that. But so again, what's important here, and one of the things that we can look at is between that song, that single being released, and that first Pilgrim Society meeting is a 115-year difference, all right? So when we look at that simple value of 115, it is the same as law and order, all right? It's also the same as Freemasons, and it's all a joke. Now, this reference here to riding an ass really is quite fitting, because remember, that's how Jesus was said to have come right when he returned. And so again, RAA reduces to 911. things I've all talked about. And again, you can see Donkey sharing that 444 coding with Jesus, Lucifer, Masonic, occult, you name it, right? Killing the king. So again, I've talked about all of this tremendously in the past, so check out those videos for just more free information. We can reduce that down 11 times 5. It's a nice 55. Again, references to Satan and the New Age. And so again, though, very important, 7 times 11, right? Because we're talking about that release date. Reduce it down, we get this nice 77. And so that becomes more interesting to me because the physical copy of the album itself, not just the single that was released on the 11th, came out right on July 7th, that nice double 7 again. Now what's interesting to me is that a simple value of 77 is also the same as Christ hexagram, and again, remember, this is actually the symbol said to truly be embodying of evil. And then you also have Thanos. Now, what I want to show here is just kind of some connection to Trump in this number 77. And again, this is just a very brief thing, but I want to show how they're keeping it active with him. So you can see here, I just typed in Trump 77. And you have this poll saying, right, 77% say Mueller wants to take Trump down, right, and quotes there. So very interesting. You also have him giving this 77-minute interview with Time magazine, slashing Obama-era refugee admissions by 77%. A 77-word vocabulary, right, on and on. So in any case, the whole point here is they're really keeping this number associated with him, and its connotations, of course, go much deeper. If you were to read the Book of Lies, chapter 77 is Layla, and again, a massive concept that I do not have time to cover today. But what I want you to see here as well, though, if we just put Trump and Thanos together, right? Because I'm really trying to draw this bridge for you, that Thanos is essentially supposed to represent Trump, and I'm getting into, really elaborating that. But I want you to see here that Trump Thanos has a simple value of 165. So what's so very interesting to me about that is the number that came to my attention when we were first looking at Beyonce's Formation, right? Which, remember, has that 666 coding as well. But this 165 here, right, is the same as I came to slay, bitch. And do keep that in mind as we get into the bit here where we're talking about the whole premise of Infinity War. But of course, you also have these ideas of Christ and Trump, again, put right together here, just like I'm talking about with that 77. You also have United Nations, divide and conquer, right? All of these massive, massive ideas. So what I want you to also see here is this clip from Stephen Colbert. Now, this is just from the other night here, but it was while I was putting all of this together, and I just felt like a lynch that I had to include for you. So check this out.
The big news today is about Iran. It's 11 days until Trump has to decide if he's pulling out of the nuclear arms deal. So far, Trump's been coy about what he's going to do.
We'll see what happens. I'm not telling you what I'm doing, but a lot of people think they know.
But I'm not one of those people, because I have no idea what I'm doing. No spoilers, please. Don't tell me how the world ends. Wait, do I turn out to be Thanos? People, it's a very popular movie.
All right, so very peculiar to me that happens to come up there, and again, and just coinciding with something that would essentially obliterate and turn to dust good chunk of the world population. Again, linking in with this concept in Infinity War, where Thanos' main goal is to eliminate half of the universe's population. And again, just so very interesting to me, but I'm going to hold off on that because I want to get this first piece out. So notice, with all of that in mind, right, we're still talking about 444 here. And of course, if we mirror and add that, we get our nice 888. Now notice here, this is the same as Donald J. Trump, as well as Infinity War. Okay, it's also the same as the path of none. Now remember, this is the path of death. And what makes it very just kind of troubling in all of this is on the Economist cover here, when we have the death card, it is in connection with this nuclear explosion. Now, the other troubling piece with that, of course, is that in Colbert's piece, he said it's 11 days until Trump, has to make this decision. And of course, that being the chief magic number, and again, the number of points on the Qliphoth, the inverted tree of life. Again, that force driving people towards destruction and all sorts of just chaos and disarray. But again, you can see here these references to nuclear weapon as well as the number 9. And again, if we just go back to this here, the Hermit card being the 9th card, you do have this interesting crack in the globe looking like a lightning bolt, which again, we can take as some sort of symbolism for a nuclear bomb, right? Somewhere on the East Coast there. So interesting ideas, to say the least. But so in any case, Donald J. Trump sharing coding with Infinity War is just very, very troubling to me. So again, Infinity War, crucial in a lot of ways. The 19th movie in the MCU, of course, that being the Sun card, Path of Resh, right? What so much of this comes back to, and marks the 10-year anniversary of, right, just the MCU in general. So I'm going to expand on that in a second here because of the significance of the number 10, which we have talked about in the past. But the thing that I really wanted to put into consideration here is not only the plot of Infinity War to eliminate, right, half of the world's or the universe's population, but it's not just strangers dying in the sense of when we typically see apocalyptic movies where, right, the world is in peril, this and that. We don't really see people that we're emotionally invested in die. But that's really the whole premise of this movie, is to shake things up, to shake people up, and, say what you want about, how they'll, do whatever they will in the second one. But right now, with this movie setting all of these records, and again, just keeping these numbers in mind here, you can see that Infinity War makes $1 billion in record 11 days. And again, there's that 111, which has the English value of 666. Okay, and again, all of this, just when you look at it from a predictive programming stance, it's getting people comfortable with the idea of losing people they love, losing strangers at random. And so it's just a phenomenally fascinating idea to me how popular it is, and that this will undoubtedly go on to be, right, the largest movie in cinematic history at this point. But so let's look a little more here at the number 10, because it does seem to be playing a very interesting role this year. So Jay-Z and Beyonce are celebrated their 10-year wedding anniversary this year. And of course, very peculiar that they get married on April 4th, right? This is the same day as David Blaine's birthday, who of course shares this 888 coding with everything we were just talking about. And it's also the same day that the World Trade Centers opened, right? And very interesting because that was in 1973, the same year that David Blaine is born. Of course, it's the 40-year anniversary this year that passed of the Martin Luther King assassination, also on April 4th. And it's also just very bizarre to me that both Jay-Z and Beyonce are born on the 4th. Now, the number 4 is an incredibly important number, and we will get to it later on when we're talking about the assassinations of presidents and other very important things. Of course, 4 presidents have been assassinated while in office, and Trump arguably to be the 5th, and I'm really going to build that argument up for you as we move through here. And again, I'll give you this information so you can just see that importance of the number 4 there, right? Connected with everything from the cardinal points, winds, phases of the moon, seasons, Western elements, okay? on and on. Pythagorean saying that the tetrad symbolized God. It's a very, very important number, and of course it's reference to the emperor, tarot cards, on and on, right? So we'll get back to this in just a bit here. I'll scroll back down because we're all the way back here. Okay. So all of that fascinating to me. Also very interesting, right? Rock Nation, Jay-Z's just empire, founded 10 years ago. Stock market crash 10 years ago, 2008. If we reduce 444, as you can see here, 4 times 4 times 4 to 64. 6 and 4 gives us 10. Okay. So, and another reason I keep coming back to all this in conjunction with this album is, right, it has 10 tracks itself. So let's take a look here at the number 10. So you can just see some of this here, okay, symbolizing the completion of a cycle. It's also the number of points on the tree of life, the Sephiroth. It's the number of heaven and the world and universal creation. Now you can see here this interesting notion that the Pythagoreans took their oaths by the number 10. And so I wanted to look into that, and again, it's very fascinating. I'll leave these links for you here, but you can read about just the deep representations that were embodied into this symbol and the actual prayer that was said right here. And of course, right, never tiring holy 10, the key holder of all. And of course, right, broken down into 4 lines, on and on, right? You can see those connections coming back to what we were just discussing. And again, these ideas of bowling being a very occult game. Again, you have the inverted pyramid there, the idea of water, and throwing the silence, the 0 down. Of course, your fingers, you have the trinity of finger holes there, making your hand into the devil sign, right? The devil horns there. So yes, phenomenal game with all of that. 10th zodiac, Capricorn, again, all but fitting. And then of course you see here the 10th card is the fortune card. Of course that's its reference in the top deck. Wheel of Fortune is in the conventional deck, which again you see make an appearance here on the cover. Now, one of the things I talked about in the video where I exclusively discussed this Economist cover here was the fact that we have these 2 X's. And so it's very interesting to me because, of course, the 20th card is the Judgment card. And again, you see that it's tilted diagonal of it there. But just very, very peculiar in just this symbolism, because you can very clearly see that there are 6 spokes here. And so this idea of the hexagram being invoked, the lightning, judgment, all the pieces, right? And of course hitting Germany. So very interesting to think about what those connotations would be. And even in just this symbolism here, reminiscent to me of the Hadron Collider. But so let's keep going here. Let's get back to the number 10, actually. We can keep looking through here. So I feel like there was one other thing I wanted to show you. Could just be this bit here from Odysseus, but in any case, also think 10 Commandments, as well as the Bill of Rights, on and on, right? So let's get on with all of that there. So all of these things 10 years ago, all of this importance with the number 10, this 444, the way that it interjects itself there. So let's keep looking at some more information with the album itself, okay? So it is 36 minutes and 11 seconds long. A lot of ways we can break that down. One of them, just add the 3 and 6 for 9. Again, it would give us that 9/11 with the colon in between there. You can reduce that further. 11 times 9, of course, 99. You can see all the bits there, how they connect, rapture, the event, so forth. Another way here, 36 times 11 is that nice 396 major. And again, bringing us back to these ideas of First Testament of the Illuminati, 33rd degree of Freemasonry, another government false flag operation. And again, one of my just favorite concepts here, this is for there is the dove and there is the serpent, again talking about these ideas of love and the way they are viewed. And so again, let's just keep moving here though, because I've covered that a lot. You have another way to look at this: when you reduce the 444 to 64, you do have references there to Harihara as well as Thelema. And again, remember my video on NASA, again inverting NASA's Asan, a destroyer, all those things. So much fascinating, information here. You can see my name, of course, coming up in there again: Yahweh, Zion, swim. But so let's take a look here. And again, all of these just ideas of duality, right? Harihara is a amalgamation of two different gods, right? The good, the bad, the destroyer, and the creator, all these things. But so keep going here. 444, right? Written out. Right off the bat, what's interesting to me is it is the same as the song that it samples, Late Nights and Heartbreak by Hannah Williams, and we'll look into her in just a bit here. But notice as well here, it's also the same as Sean Carter and Lucifer and Jesus. Okay, so again, just really pushing on these ideas of duality here, right? And really it's all about, and what Jay-Z talks about in one of these lines, one of his opening lines in here, it's essentially admission to androgyny, right? To see through a woman's eyes. His twins had to be born. So this whole idea of duality manifesting to him is what it took for him to achieve that singularity. Now what's interesting here in some more ways, right, is we have the Jewish value of 1308. We drop that 0 and we have that 138. Now I'm going to really ring on this towards the end of the video, but for those of you not familiar, of course, this Misfits album, the Bullet EP, with Kennedy having his brain blown out, we are 138. It's a huge thing I've looked into over the years, and of course somebody made this Trump shirt with the same thing going on. So as I say, I'm going to get to that more later on in the video of here. Of course, do note the ideas of Pez theory coming up with these numbers 828, because 138 times 6 is 828. So again, sharing coding with Donald Trump, endlessly fascinating. All right. Now take a look here at this English and simple value, because we get a lot of things that I want to break down. First off, right, we have murder Trump ASAP. Now, when we break this down, we can see that another thing in here is the 2018 IDES. Now, what's interesting is IDES and ASAP both have that 222 coding, all right, for their English value. And let's keep going here, though. You also have this reference to Book of Revelations, City of New Orleans. Now, of course, this makes me think of Beyonce's music video for Formation, right? Of course, that song is 3 minutes, 26 seconds long. And as we'll talk about, right, Kennedy assassinated on the 326th day. But this City of New Orleans coming up in 444 made me want to see the amount of time between the release of Formation and the release of 444. So in between there, right, is 1 year, 5 months, and 6 days, which just so happens to be the number of Our Lady Babylon. And another thing when we start to really point that out is we can see it shares coding with 666. 33, both written out separately, as well as above, so below in the phrase Planet Trump, which does appear on this cover of The Economist. So that really loops us back round and again, right? Of course, we can see that's also seen as 522 days. If we were to reduce that, 5 times 22 is 110, and that is the same as Paris, France, which keep that in mind because it's a big piece that I want to get into as we move further along here. So do notice as well this reference here to September 18th. Now, I did do, again, this is a date that I did a whole video on, and we'll see if I can. There you go. So you can take a look at all of the important things that have happened on September 18th. Well, not all of the important things, but a list of them, including the CIA being established, the National Security Council being established, okay, Department of Defense, Defense first day of operation, National Security Act being enacted, all of these major things. And of course, what tied me into all of that was just looking into the death of Jimi Hendrix. And of course, something that if you are familiar with my videos, you know, at the very beginning here, you saw all of this and you thought to yourself, wow. But so let's keep moving here, though. Fascinating as all of that is. We also have reference to the phrase two people become one. Again, this idea that I'm putting forward with him and Beyonce fusing, and this androgynous idea, again, him even recording this album on her microphone, something that he's repeatedly stated. Now you also have reference here to conceived naturally. Now this is interesting to me because on the same day that his album comes out, which is June 30th, 2017, we have this bizarre article come out by an Eden Olivia Lord saying exactly how he and Beyonce conceived their twins. Now, that's just odd, right, to put that out on the same day. But so check out Eden Olivia Lord's coding here, though. You see her ES values are the same as Order of Thelema, as well as Beyonce and Jay-Z. So again, just showing you the interwoven nature of all of this, right? And again, these ideas of the law of Satan, united world, 777 comes up here. Many fascinating things. But so keep going here, and I want you to see this number 174, because this is where we're headed. Now, Trump's birthday, June 14th, Jay-Z's birthday, December 4th. It's 174 days in between them. All right. And as I'm going to show you in a little bit here, this next song that we're going to look at, Caught Their Eyes, which is track 4 off of this album, has that simple value of 174. Now notice as well, it's also 3 minutes and 26 seconds in length. So again, very fascinating to me. But look at some things that we can break down before we even really get into it. So it's track 4 off of this album, 444. So we easily have that double set of 44s. We put them together, we get 88. There's Trump, there's the New Age, and there's Frank Ocean, who is the featured artist on this song. And so again, showing you how it's all connected. But before we get into that, and to really set this stage for you, I want you to see this interesting idea here, that on January 28th, and I'm just going to scroll through here so you can just see all of these different outlets, the New York Times, Vox, the Independent, with several articles on it, BBC, Market Watch. Let's go to page 2 here, and again, these are all on the 28th except for like the one. But again, BBC with another article, The Post, some more, People, New York Post, Vanity Fair, Billboard, all writing about Jay-Z and Trump on January 28th. Now, one of the things that I have been talking about extensively is this day, May 23rd, and again, connection with the 222. But you can see in between those days is 116 days, okay? And so, of course, that inverted 9/11 there that everybody's kind of always searching for. And you also see that it translates to 3 months and 26 days. Now, when we're looking at all of this in conjunction with Caught Their Eyes, we can see not only is it a 15-letter song title, and of course that being the devil card, but if we take C, T, and E and reduce them down to 325 and look at it backwards, it's 523. Okay, that date. Very fascinating. So again, caught their eyes has that simple value of 174. Again, remember that was written out in 444 to look into this number. And so you can see that. And you have these ideas of the false prophet, the New World Order, the Age of Aquarius, okay? Secret societies, all of these other masterpieces that I've looked into for you, including, right, 12 and 12, giving us that 144 apocalyptic number, executive order, right, EO 515, Dante's prophetic apocalyptic number. It just goes on, right? And of course you can see up here, it's sharing coding with of the Illuminati, again, getting us back to that Illuminatium bit. Sharing coding with you'll find out. Remember Trump telling us that whole calm before the storm bit. And of course, this is also the same as Stormy Daniels. And fascinating, right? Just fascinating. All those 326 connections. And again, so you can see Kennedy's assassination date there with that 326. And of course, this bringing us all back to this idea here of these, right, presidential assassinations. So we'll keep building on that, but so let's take a look at some of the lyrics from this song first. So in it, he says, "How could you see the difference between you and I? My crash course was much tougher. Around friends who kill they friends, then hug they friends' mothers." So again, thinking of these ideas of sacrificing to get to where you are, and sacrificing loved ones to get to where you are knowingly. And this goes in many, many dimensions. But again, that double speak that is just, synonymous, frankly, with hip hop itself, is something that I feel in some of these lines, Jay really conveys more, right, than meets the eye. So you can see here, if you go further, he's talking about they eyes hide, they eyes high, again, thinking most highest, as well as my eyes wide shut to all the lies. Now, if you take a look here at the phrase eyes wide shut, do notice all of those words are 4 letters. So there you have that nice 444 again. And you'll notice the ES values for it are the same as Make America Great Again, as well as Final Antichrist and the number 23. So of course, I was just talking about this 23rd day of May. It's very interesting to see how all of that continues to just pile into itself there. Now, of course, you can take a look through here and see these ideas to the 7th seal, right eye lost, and you see here too, Ram gets headshot and the smoking gun, as well as this date of May 20th. Now, why that Ram getting headshot is so interesting is because Trump is depicted on this cover in the Emperor, right, sort of pose. It's a mixture of the Judgment card and the Emperor card, but the Emperor is ruled by Aries, the Ram. And so to say the Ram gets his headshot really just kind of puts that into perspective yet another step. And so again here though, because what I want to do here is tie this in with these ideas, but you can also see, of course, this is Kubrick's last film, the title of it, Eyes Wide Shut, and this reference here to Billionaires Club and satanic fascists, could easily be tied in with a lot of the concepts he was alluding to. But so, what I want to point out here is further in this song to still caught their eyes. He says, I've been to Paris at least 2 times. I seen the Eiffel. I seen a Eiffel. And of course, Eiffel, you can see I've got highlighted here, that 444, 74 coding. Again, very fascinating when we put it in conjunction with this being track 4. And if I can find this 4, you see not only the 4 presidents have been killed in office, but 2 of them also died on the 4th of July. And so to me, very interesting. And the 5th president died on July 4th as well. And so what's so interesting is that if Trump were to be assassinated, he would be the 5th president to, right, be assassinated in office. And of course, all of these connections to the 4, right? This is track 4 that we're looking at to really pull this across here. So now, of course, you also see reference here to this 107, which again does come up in this conspiracy theory movie. This nice pin here. It's very odd the way it essentially symbolizes that he's, not dead. What she thinks is true isn't true. This whole other thing. So you got all that mixed in with that. So now, honing in on Paris a bit here, he's talked a lot about it. In 444, he referenced it as well. Somewhere in here, right? I harassed you out in Paris. He wants her to come back to Rome. Of course, when I think of Rome, I think of the Abbey of Thelema. And so all of these things, right? Always tying him back. But so take a look at this, though. I want to build on why he's talking so much about Paris. And again, remembering its huge just impact on the occult world. But again, reducing 4 times 4 times 4 for that 64. Now let's mirror and add it. And we get 110. And again, as I said earlier, to hold on to that. So there's your Paris, France, martial law, the new aeon, accidental death, and the 5 V's here, of course, from the Book of Lies. I, as always, highly advise you to look into my old videos, okay? Because there's so much that I still have to cover here. I can't. But so what I want you to see here with all of these interesting connections is that when we pull it over, I've got this odd article here from Complex, and even more peculiar to me, the image is from David Icke. But so 15 potential Illuminati headquarters around the world, name of the article. So they're talking about the Eiffel Tower, and of course it's number 11. Again, that chief magic number. Again, think back to the Colbert bit, whatever you want. But what they note here, and I want to read it from here because this is why it's so interesting. You have the building is said to cast a shadow of exactly 412 meters in length. Oddly enough, that number holds a special significance to one blogger who said in a June 2010 blog post, "If you look at the number 412 as a date, several things come to mind. One, in Europe, where the Eiffel Tower is located, dates are reversed. So 412 is not April 12th, it is December 4th. Now what's interesting, I'm just going to intervene right here, is December 4th. Again, that's Jay-Z's birthday, okay? Now the number, you can see here, he goes on to talk about its relation to the number pi. He says, further, December 4 is the day of Shango, or Zango, a major deity in voodoo. So very interesting. All right, you can see also as well 412 multiplied by the golden ratio fits exactly 666.6. And then they have this interesting little burner here at the end. We can only assume the number 23 fits into all of this somehow. Now, right, how interesting that I'm using, right, track 4, Eyes Wide Shut, or excuse me, track 4, Caught Their Eyes, and taking lines out of it and getting this 23. Okay, and again, these direct relations to Trump. But again, further here, it's interesting to me because for this very just peculiar article about Illuminati headquarters, they seem to use a very similar image of the Eiffel Tower as when it appears in this Illuminati card game. All right, so I just want to draw that line for you there. But let's keep going here. And so I guess to connect his daughter into all of this, and again, her name being Blue, and when we look at some of the images here from the music video for 444, you'll see the heavy usage of that and it tying back to concepts that we've really covered throughout here. But of course, I've got a clip in here. guess we can see it really quick here.
Released a new song called Glory on his website Monday, just 2 days after wife Beyonce gave birth to their daughter in New York.
New York has the 666 value too.
Sweet cries are heard on the track, and she's even given an official credit for the intimate song. The lyrics reveal Blue was conceived in Paris and that the couple...
Okay. So you've got that, and again, it's all these ties to Paris. I had an article pulled up on just some famous occultists from there. I'll leave you some interesting pieces here to look into that further, but absolutely worth mentioning here is Eliphas Levi. Again, the man said to kind of reinvigorate engagement with magic, all right? And again, huge influence on Crowley, many secret societies. The guy said to state that the pentagram inverted is when it denotes evil, and when it's right side up is representative of good. And so, of course, interesting on his depiction here of the Baphomet that it is right side up. And again, something we've talked about a lot is disguising good as evil in order to just keep people away from the truth. It's a huge concept. So again, all of that, the catacombs underneath there, on and on with Paris, man. So in any case, odd name with the kid, Blue Ivy, 7 letters, Seal of Babylon, say what you will with it. So you can see here again, Freemason, MK Ultra, Satanism, right? All the above, the 11, Doomsday. Shares coding with Erykah Badu and Love Gun. Okay, big concept I've talked about. So again here, check it out. 444 is track 5, and again, getting to this idea that Trump would be the 5th man, 5th president killed in office. And what you can see here is, let's get to all this. This is the opening shot here. So a short Jay-Z film is the set of words that were given. So very interesting because it shares coding with the story of life. And so that was the last poem written by Jimi Hendrix before he passed. And what's interesting is that in this short film, Jay-Z essentially tries to convey a lot of that. And so it's a continuation in a lot of ways of, arguably what Hendrix, left off there. But you also see it's the same as the Trump train and the number 138 written out. It's also the same as the phrase order out of chaos and manifest destiny. Okay, so they're absolutely huge concepts. You also see here 2 soulmates, as well as satanic Thelemites, devil worshiper, the bringer of light, holy androgyny, again, speaking back to all of this, singularity that this is really trying to encourage people to embrace, on and on, right? You even see Minute Brew Nescafe. It's what was advertised right after Kennedy's death was announced. So very, very interesting to me, okay? And again, Hannah Williams is the one who sampled on this. And what you'll notice here that's very interesting is she shares coding with the Scarlet Woman. She also has that simple value of 144. Okay, again, that apocalyptic number. Also the same coding as Dante's Inferno in Trauma Room 1, remember, where Kennedy was pronounced dead. You'll also see here that it shares coding with Ride, Donnie, Ride, which I did allude to earlier with this bit, but that's all of that. You can also see here sharing coding with 44, again, thinking back to Jay-Z and Beyonce's marriage, Dave Blaine, MLK assassination, World Trade Center's opening, all these things, right? And what's interesting as well with seeing 6 of Hearts come up here is this is the card that David Blaine misidentified, and it was a very bizarre thing, and again, everybody felt it was very telling. You also see coding here for 216. Of course, this is for the Law of the Strong, book 77. One of the 77s I may have forgotten to mention earlier in connecting everything with Thanos and Trump, but that is Liber Oz. Again, very important. I've done a tremendous amount of research on it for you. But take a look at all of this, though. The black Donald Trump. Okay, this can be in reference to him no longer living, or it can be in reference to somebody like Donald Trump, right? But black. So you have here that coding is the same as Jay-Z Donald Trump. It's also the same as Donald Trump shot and the Misfits bullet, and the comedy is finished, right? So that's very interesting, right? Because bullet is by the Misfits, and Donald Trump shot is the big thing that, you know, is really seeming to line up with so much of what we're seeing in this world. And so again, it's just very, very interesting. You also get these references here to May 24th of 2018, again the day after May 23rd, obviously, but with all of my dates I always encourage you to look at the days before and prior to them, because there are different ways that you can count the days, which makes it very difficult, right, to pinpoint. But notice as well here, this also has coding for 239, which has a simple value is the same as I could shoot somebody. Again, what Donald Trump said on January 23rd a couple years ago, which again, if we mirror and add that, we get that nice 444 again. Of course, there again, the reference to 7-pointed star, mark of the beast, seal of Babylon. You also see mind control technique. And one of the last ones to really just seal all of that for you is just Jay-Z Trump has the same coding as, right, the black Trump. So of course, again, connections with Trump train, understanding, forehead to be sealed, Liber, Alvel, Legis, right? And then you have this 396 coming back up again. And so what that really ties us back to is when we were breaking the album down, and we looked at 11 times, let me just find it for you. Or was it was 36 times. There you go. 36 times 11 gave us that nice 396. And so again, that is the length of the album. And this reference here, 33rd degree of Freemasonry, another government false flag operation, worship or reverence of Satan as a deity, right? So you can see here how just tightly interwoven all of that is. Jay-Z Trump coming back to all of that. 189 here and everywhere. It's the Pilgrim's mantra. Again, you can see all of that. And I'll just scroll down to the bottom here for you so you can take a look at a couple of other things that I just did not really have time to include in this, but I think are very important. Can't Take My Eyes Off You is the theme song, or the main song from that conspiracy theory movie. And so again, it's these ideas, very, very important. He talks a lot about NASA and killing the president, Trilateral Commission, all these just massive things. And so again, tremendous amount to take into consideration. Scroll through here. Let's see. So again, here's some of just the images from Blue real quick. The big one that I really want to reiterate on, I guess, as an ending point here too, is he gets in this shot here with Al Green. And you have the inverted triangle, right? So again, all of this worship of the number 10 that we were talking about, and what that all means, right? Taking it to deeper levels. I just really want you to see how that connects in there, and of course the inverted triangle as well. But let me connect back here. So again, this is in the 444 music video, and he has just, you know, these the two dancers, and they're just constantly engulfed by blue washes of things. Of course, the pyramid, again, synonymous with Jay-Z. You've got this nice underwater. She's clearly in like a crucified pose there. And so again, all of the things that we could read into this, and of course that it's at 223, right? If we invert that, 322, so forth. Of course, the inversion of Santa Claus, Blue Santa, duality, right? So that's it. I mean, it really, the layers of interconnection on this one to me are just staggering. And there's so many ways that I could take this further, but again, I would advise you to just write comments in the questions or whatever at the bottom there, if there's things that you want to hear more about, because there's a ton that I just omit for time and just the scope of all of this. So in any case, as always, truly appreciate you taking the time to watch this video and consider this information, and please be well.